The console module has some interesting less-known parts that I want to make sure that you know about. The console module is designed to match the console object provided by web browsers. In Node.js, there is a console class that we can use to write to any Node.js stream, and there is a global console object already configured to write to stdout and stderr. These are two different things. So for example, if you want to use the console methods, but instead of writing to stdout and stderr, you want to write to, say, a socket or a file, all you need to do is instantiate a different console object from the console class and pass the desired output and error streams as arguments. When we run this code, for example, it'll create an out.log and error.log files and write to both of them every 5 seconds. Console.log uses the util module under the hood to format and output a message with a new line. We can use printf formatting elements in the message, or we can simply use multiple arguments to print multiple messages on the same line. Popular formatting elements are %d for a number and %s for a string. There's also %j for a JSON object. If you want to use the printf substitutions without console log in it, you can use the util.format method. This just returns the formatted string. We can console log objects, and Node will use the util.inspect method to print the string representations of those objects. Util.inspect has a second options argument that we can use to control the output. For example, to only use the first level of an object, we can use a depth 0 option. Util.inspect just returns the string. If you want to use the inspect second argument and still print to stdout, you can use the console.dir function. It'll pass the second argument option to util.inspect and print out the result. Console.info is just an alias to console.log. Console.error behaves exactly like console.log but writes to stderr instead of stdout. Console.warn is an alias for console.error. The console object has an assert function for simple assertions to test if the argument is true. It will throw an assertion error if it's not. The built-in assert module has a lot more features for assertions, and I usually use it for quick assertions. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for simple cases. The if-error function on the assert module is a particularly interesting one. It throws value if value is truthy, which is exactly what we usually do on any errors argument in callbacks. Console.trace behaves just like console error, but it also prints the call stack at the point where it is placed, which is handy when debugging problems. You can use console.time and console.timeEnd to start and stop timers and report the duration of an operation. The argument you pass to them should be a unique label for that operation. The util module has a few more handy functions. There is debug log if you want to conditionally write debug messages to stderr based on the existence of the node debug environment variable. This debug line here will only be reported if this script was executed with node debug equal web. The util.deprecate function can be used to wrap a function, say before you export it, to mark that function as deprecated. Users of that function will get a deprecation warning the first time they use that function. Finally, the util.inherits method was heavily used before the introduction of ES6 classes to inherit prototype methods from one constructor to another. However, with ES6 classes and the extends keyword, the use of this util.inherits methods is no longer needed or recommended, but you'll probably see it a lot in older examples of Node code.